Hello, YouTube. So, someone left me loose in the hardware store. So, I got that, and I got these from Amazon. These are like a resin plastic bracket set for building a workbench. This 2x4 workbench pretty much expects you to use as the top a sheet of plywood. I thought I would do something a little more interesting. So this is the wood to build the actual bench part. So this is the corners and the shelves and everything that goes in the brackets. This is taking place of the sheet of plywood. And what I plan to do is glue all these boards together, plane them smooth, and make almost like a butcher block style top. And I've seen this done on YouTube a couple times. And they usually have more clamps than I do and more talent than I do, so we'll see how this goes. I'm sure everybody thought I was nuts in the hardware store picking out these boards because, you know, I went through pretty much the whole palette picking out the ones that I felt were the best because, you know, these aren't being used as studs, they're being used as a tabletop. And you see some of them are still a little warped, but one of the ways I intend to keep this together, even with just the glue, is I'm going to first rip a 1/4 inch off the top of each of these to take off this kind of 2x4 roundover. And then from there, I'm going to measure in, I'm going to say a foot to the middle and then a foot out from that side. I'll measure each one and make a mark and drill a hole. And I got 3 36-inch threaded rods. So I'm hoping what that'll do is, in addition to the 5 clamps I've got, I'm hoping what that'll do is pull everything together evenly without any warping, because the holes will be at the measured point, whereas the boards will be, you know, in and out and undulating. So hopefully it'll pull it straight on a high level. But for now, we just have to get these set up, get them ripped down off the table saw, get the holes marked, get the holes drilled, and kind of test fit everything. And we will see how this goes. So I'm ripping this. It's about an 1/8 inch roundover from the mill. I'm ripping that off so they're perfectly squared off to each other. Now they'll match up exactly. And you can see, like, so this in the center, it's perfect, right? And then towards the edge here, they don't meet. So my thought is if I put the threaded rod through right there, that'll be forced up. This will be forced down to an extent. You know, I'll still have to plane it, but I might actually have a decent work surface. So I have to do that 22 more times. Alright, so I ripped down all of the tops of these 2x4s, so it's squared off the edges. And this gives you kind of an idea of what it's going to look like. I'm going to measure from here 1 foot, 4 foot, and then 7 foot. And I'll measure all from the same side because these are all different lengths. The quality control is not quite there. So I drilled a 3/8 hole for my 3/8 threaded rod, and this is the idea, to thread it through each of them to kind of straighten them out and make sure they're good. But I think I overestimated this thing's ability to drill a straight hole. It's not awful, but you know, these first 2 boards, it had a lot of trouble. So I was gonna, you know, glue it and then push it straight through. I don't think that's going to work out, so I think how I'm going to do this is reverse course here. I'm going to finish drilling my holes, and then I will start it with the first one kind of like this, and put a bolt in it, and then I will slide on each piece. And I'll have to set a timer for like 20 minutes or so. So the clamp time on the glue, the time before you have to clamp it, is 25 minutes. I think I'll set it for like 15-20 minutes, and I'll just slather the glue on, put it on, and if I'm bringing the new board on from all the way to the other end, so say I have two boards, and I'm sliding a board down, I should be able to slide it on pretty easily. And then if I have any trouble due to, undulations, I can draw it in with the clamp. So I decided I better test fit it, because if I don't, it definitely won't work. And I figured out, I think this vertical assembly is the best way to go, because the glue, the top won't be able to stick to the floor. I just prop it against this tub, and then the bottom props against this. And it's a little unstable, but it's not terribly bad. And everything is going flush. And the surface planing won't be that bad. That first piece is pretty bad, and the last piece I screwed up on, which is why the last piece back against the wall. But the rest, this won't take much planing at all to smooth out. I think it's going to look pretty nice for the money. So now, I'm not going to film this, but I will take it all apart and get ready for gluing. Alright, that's it. It was a stressful few minutes. The timer went off, and I had 5 minutes left from when the timer went off, but I wasn't too worried about it, because the weight of the top boards going on fresh were acting as clamps on the bottom board, so probably not that big of a deal. So we are already quite flat. That is very little to plane off there. I'm happy about that. I don't know what it's like horizontally yet. We'll find out. This is the accuracy of the cuts from the lumber mill. These are all untrimmed 2x4x8s. Alright, it's the next day. Now I need to trim the ends off in order to... I technically shouldn't handle this yet, because it's like 3 more hours, so 24 hours, but I think it's going to be fine. This is not exactly, stressing it when it's got... It'll still have a bunch of clamps, and it'll still have the threaded rod, so... but I have to trim these edges off, and that will get me my final width of the workbench, and once I have the final width of the workbench, then I can continue assembly of the rest of the kit. So, let's begin. So this whole project so far has been going better than these things normally do, until now. The circular saw got tilted a little bit on this side and on the other side. These are pretty much perfect. This it may have been a little too much that way, so I'm going to leave this to make it square. No, I might take some of that. But the most important thing is the functionality. And I may... It's a shame. The sides will be visible, so it's a shame I didn't get that right. But I would need like a beam saw and something else. So this side is the same deal. This one went in too far. And then these are mostly squared off like that. And that went in too far. So yeah, apparently I don't know how to hold a circular saw. I have no outfeed table of any sort. Everything's in use. I will, but I don't right now. So there's no easy or clean way to do this. This is just going to be a mess. Well, I can't believe how that went. Not even a little bit crooked. You know, it occurs to me that this saw is backwards. The blade should be over here, because then you can actually see your cut. And if you're cutting close to the edge of something, you'd want the blade to be close to the edge and all of the support to be on this side. Why would they make it that way? I have to go over here. So yeah, I think that's as good as I could ever need for showing. Looks like this one might be crowned this way, or I think that's just crowned. But what I'll probably do is put a cross brace under this one so that I don't have to do that later if I choose to cut it out, because I would want to sit here. So this is where I would need a cross brace. So I will make that now using the pocket screw kit and install that. That way I don't have to do it later. So I think instead of screwing these down, I think I'm going to just tack them down with some finish nails. That way I'll be able to get them out real easily. So I have to now transfer the top onto here. The top is over 300 pounds, so it's, you know, liftable. I can lift the one side of it, but I can't lift the whole thing. And this lift table only goes up this high. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate it in and set one side on a floor jack and then push it off the table and then carry the other side, well, and then I would jack it up to the right height, and then I would hand lift and rotate it into place into the pockets. I'm sorry, that was shockingly boring. So now I think I'm going to make little plywood, 3/4 inch plywood triangles, and insert those under each corner to raise it up. And at that point, I'll try to plane it, which might actually be funny because I've never used a planer before. So you can notice that I'm chewing these lines into it. They're definitely biased to the left side. It's chewing deeper than it is on the right side. It looks like the alignment of the blade to the base plate is perfect, but the foot at the front is adjustable. That's what adjusts the depth, and that is crooked. So I think I'll have to just deal with these lines for now, and as I get very close I'll have to cut the depth, because the shallower I make the depth, the more accurate it's going to be. Now let's see if my new dust collection works. had to cut you off because the battery was dead. I just spent probably 2 or 3 hours, probably 2 hours, with this palm sander and 60 grit sandpaper, and I got up all of the grooves to a large extent. There's kind of like a little divot here that you can really only see because it's filled with sanding dust. So that one I'll have to take out. That sucks. But most of the rest are good, and it's, you know, it feels like a solid piece of wood. So very happy with that. So tons to clean up, and then we come back and we do the boiled linseed oil treatment. I'm reading on the internet, and they say that if you want a good surface, you gotta sand it, and then you spray it down with like a spray bottle with water, and then you let it dry, and it makes the fiber stand up. Then you sand it again, and that will make a nice smooth surface. Something about the fibers are loose and they're still there, and you got to stand them up. All right, I forgot to turn the camera on, but I put the boiled linseed oil on this, and I really like it. It's a nice finish. You can still see some of the gouges from the planer, but I'm okay with it. You know, visually, I think it looks pretty good from a distance, and it feels pretty good. I mean, it's flat. There's no, you don't get hung up on anything. So now it's time to do the upper shelves and to move the TV mount and some of that other stuff. So I will time lapse the assembly of the shelves, but I won't show the cuts or anything because, you know, who needs to see that? You're pretty much looking at it. I'm gonna be done filming now. I gotta put in 1,000 more screws. TV mount is perfect. I didn't really want it centered. I kind of wanted it offset to the right, but centered is fine. And I should have enough space for all of my gear on here. And then I got some storage up there. And all in all, I'm very satisfied with this. And I like the finish and everything. And yeah, so that was a nice little departure from the car stuff. The next set of videos is going to be working on the M3, which you can see hiding out there in the dark, which not for long. When we come back, I'm going to be doing a few videos on further race prep of that car. So I'm going to install an oil cooler, install oil temperature gauge, I'm going to tune it, do methanol injection, and so there's going to be a series of videos on learning to tune as well, specifically the E36, but I mean, I'm an absolute beginner, so it's going to be learning to tune in general. So if you want to see that type of stuff, or strangely enough, if you want to see this type of stuff, leave a comment or subscribe or whatever, and I will see you next time.